Yeah. It's the mafia. Yeah.
He's a monkey with cymbals in his hands instead of just catching the foot.
And that's this. They're giving us like a 24-hour go feed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a Bill City. Yeah, a Buffalo Bill City. Yeah, we got Josh Allen.
I know they mentioned something about an ultrasound to check the nerve endings and everything.
Hopefully
else
he's
like
not pregnant. That would be a disaster. I hear that's a 9-month timeline to recover from at the minimum, is what I've heard.
Yeah, Ike McKenzie on a jet sweep, maybe it's a fake. Honestly, it's a TD either way when you got Josh Allen making plays. Win a ball before we in a new stadium.
Someone's making a new Twitter at some point. Maybe we should do that.
Honestly, I'll just start a shared Google Doc, and that'll be our new Twitter. That'll be our new Twitter.
Just people just adding shit in.
Anonymous hedgehog is saying "fuck your mom." Like.
This is our team forever. It is forever. We got Josh Allen, got
Folks, welcome into a brand new episode of the Crowd's podcast presented by Trainwreck Sports. Wake here with my friend Jake Micah, and as you saw there, Greg Thompson's backdrop. He's
going to be in a second.
Yeah. He said he's got to just check on something real quick. He'll be back in a couple minutes, but while he's gone, I think it is a great opportunity to tell you all about our great friends. You see it up there in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Great friends at Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. Last weekend's game was cold. This weekend's game is also going to be cold. So there's nothing that will keep you warmer on the sidelines or tailgate lots. You can't bring bottles of liquor into the stadium, which is, maybe we should work on that for the future. But obviously, if you got to stock up for your tailgates, stock up for your pregame parties, your game parties, whatever you're doing for the game this weekend, Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? Our outlet is talking football on the Crowd's podcast with people like our good friend, Greg Thompson, Bills Mafia's resident capologist. Greg, I know you are kind of running the gambit tonight. You're just going on how many shows? I hope this is just your second show for the evening, right?
Yeah, we had a very important Cover One staff meeting that I was conducting prior to this, and then another engagement after this. But obviously, this is my top priority for the evening.
I knew it was. See, you say important Cover One staff meeting, and I'm like, well, that pales in comparison to what we're about to do here. Because what we're about to do here is a great segment that we've been doing here that Jake Micah struggled with a little bit, and we think you might be the help that he needs for it. It's called Fact or Fiction. How it goes I
can't lie.
There are 4 facts, 4 statistics that I'm going to present to you two. 3 are real and 1 is fake, and they all relate to the Bills and the Dolphins. So it is your job to deduce, go Sherlock Holmes on my ass. What is the fake stat? So we're going to start. Fact or fiction stat number 1, Stephon Diggs has a higher percentage of the Bills' passing yards than Hill does of the Dolphins.
Damn, Hill's got a lot. Waddle has a lot of yards, though.
So we know Josh has more passing yards than Tua.
Good point.
But I guess I that's hard because
I will say it includes
Spencer Thompson, some Bridgewater.
It includes them. It includes all of the Dolphins' passing yards, not just Tua.
I know Diggs was number 1 in fantasy, but I think that Hill was higher in yardage. So
Hill is higher than yardage for sure right now.
So
Waddle is the biggest thing with me. Waddle, I feel like Waddle eats a good chunk of that percentage than Gabe Davis does. But Davis got up there with yards, though.
If Hill has more, and even though Josh does have more than Tua, I think Josh also has more than all of the Dolphins passers together. So if Hill has more, then he has to have a higher percentage. So Diggs has a higher percentage of the Bills passing yards than Hill does of the Dolphins passing yards. That is false. That is fiction.
That's where we're at. We're not. We got 3 more.
You the rest. You got 3 more.
Oh, we'll see man, this is stressful.
Oh yeah, no.
Welcome to Jake Micah's life.
This is
fact or fiction number 2. Josh Allen is getting sacked at a higher rate than Tua Tagovailoa.
That sounds about right to me.
He's definitely pressured more. Does he actually get sacked more?
Tua's had a couple big sack games the last couple weeks, but
yeah, that one's more likely than the other one. This one's closer to fact. So, and
these
three
are
of them are
good.
There's 3 facts and 1 fiction.
3 facts, 1 fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm with you, Jake. I'm with you.
Wade came with the heat this week, bro.
Yeah,
I said it was
no
I said it was either gonna be really easy or really hard,
hopefully the easy one's coming.
Stat number 3: Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis have combined for more touchdowns than Hill and Waddle.
Yeah, Diggs has a lot of touchdowns. That one's possible.
Damn, I think so too. I was just looking at their I can't remember exactly what it was. I was just looking at both of them the other day. I think so though too.
That one I feel the best about fact wise.
Okay. The last one here. Let's see if this changes your mind at all. Xavier Howard is allowing more yards per completion than Dane Jackson.
That's good. That's good. I'm going fact on that. I think our initial fiction is true.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I that one's a weird one. If you just asked me this out and it wasn't part of this competition, I probably would have said no, that can't possibly be true. But yeah, I'm gonna lean the number one. I think you led off with the fiction.
Yep.
I never lead off with the fiction, but today I did. You were right. Stephon Diggs does not have a higher percentage. Hill has 38% roughly of the Dolphins passing yards. Stephon Diggs has about 34.
Okay.
As far as the sack rates, Josh is around 5.6. Tua is in the mid 4s. Diggs and Davis have 16 touchdowns to Hill and Waddle's 12 total. And Xavier Howard is allowing about 8 yards more per completion more this year than Dane Jackson. And that's one of those put it into perspective stats, because we complain a lot. This fan base complains a lot about CB2, about Dane Jackson.
And by fan base, that's me.
And it's me, and it's Jake, and it's just about everybody else.
But Dane Jackson is statistically way better than most people realize. But it is frustrating when you see him consistently in good coverage, but not making a play on the ball and getting beaten those contested catches. It feels frustrating, but I will say I had to give him credit. He had 2 nice pass breakups at the end of the Jets game that were nice plays, and he made a play on the ball, and you got to credit it when it happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why I include it there, because me and Jake are big on context and perspective. And there are a lot of things about this Bills football team. We need to understand what has happened on this team, just from a personnel perspective, just from, who are they actually going to be targeting in specific instances in the game, why Dane Jackson is put in vulnerable positions sometimes, especially with someone like Tre'Davious White out for most of this season. Him being a slightly average cornerback is not the worst thing that could happen for this Bills defense.
Somebody's got to be the weak link on a good unit. Somebody has to be, right? Like someone has to. No matter what this team could be 13-0, but if Dane Jackson's letting up big catches throughout the game, they would still be like. I think we see that at this point throughout this year. Like they've only lost. Like there's so many positive things if you wanted to just be like, oh, the Bills, like all their losses are flukes, all this and this. Like if you wanted to be that person, you could 100% be it. And I don't see it at all. So like, we're gonna get people are gonna get picked apart a little.
There's no 85 Bears. Yeah, there's no 85 Bears this year. There's no 2000 Ravens. The Niners have an awesome defense. The Bills have a really good defense. There are good defenses. All of them have susceptible areas. Every roster in the NFL is flawed this year. So there's areas you can go at everybody.
Yeah, every roster does seem very flawed in the NFL this year. And we'll talk about just kind of like the state of the AFC, because I feel like it is just like a revolving door of who could have that 1 seed at this point this year. It's not guaranteed that the Chiefs win out, even though they have a cakewalk schedule. It's not guaranteed that, the Dolphins can't overlap the Bills, especially with the game this weekend. I believe I saw it. If the Dolphins win this weekend, because of the tiebreaker, they're about a half game back in the standings. If the Bills win, and that's due to like division tiebreakers and everything, if the Bills win, they're about 3.5 games ahead of the Dolphins. So it's a big swing. If the Bills lose, they still have control of this division. However, obviously, that's not what we're rooting for. So we're going to talk, obviously, about what the Bills on the offensive and defensive sides of the football need to accomplish in order to come home with a win this season or with this weekend. But the elephant in the room on this game is the weather. And of course, we see Mike McDaniel wearing the "I wish it was colder" shirt. We see Tua saying it snows in Alabama too, guys.
Oh my God, Tua.
Do you think? I think that's a front, right? Like, there's no way they're
you could
not
tell.
seriously
You could tell
considering.
he didn't. You could tell Tua didn't believe that when he was saying it, and like he had no conviction in that statement.
So I had to go listen because I actually was giving him a hard time, and there's a couple Dolphins guys that we're good friends with that we go on, and they said, "Hey, go listen to the quote." He was asked a question directly. Have you ever seen snow in your life? And he kind of laughed it off and said, guys, it snows in Alabama. I've seen snow. That was literally the comment. Okay. It wasn't, oh, are you prepared for this game this weekend? And his answer is, guys, it snows in Alabama. He was literally answering a question about somebody was going so far the other direction of asking, have you ever seen snow in your life? Because I mean, he's of Hawaiian descent.
Yeah, sure. He played college down in the South. I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense.
I know people that I have experienced the first time they've seen snow in their life as adults. I've been there. I've been in those moments with people that are 25 and 30 years old who had never seen snow in their entire life. So it's crazy. It's not crazy. But that's where it came from. So don't get me wrong. I also gave him a hard time because the quote looks silly, but he wasn't downplaying that it was there. Now, Mike McDaniel, it's a slippery slope that he's walking. Mm-hmm. And I do think that as a leader and as a coach, there's value to the mind over matter aspect. The guys who run out pregame with no shirt on to show that, hey, I'm not worried about it. The guys who play without sleeves because I'm tougher than you. And there's something to that. And that if that's the approach you want to take, that's fine. But you got to be prepared for the fact that if it doesn't work, you're going to look dumb. Like it's going to look dumb. Like there's
to put it lightly,
it is completely results oriented. Like it is a results driven gamble, in that you're saying, I wish it was colder. I'm not going to prepare for the conditions at all. I'm not even going to look at the forecast. One, that's a lie. Of course he is. He's fully going to be aware.
He's clear. He's a very smart coach.
Oh, correct.
He's a very smart individual.
And if that's the message that you're going to send your team, hey, we're not worried about it. We're going to play our game. We're going to go down there and dictate terms to them. We're not going to change what we do. God bless you. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, you're going to look like an ass.
Yeah, I do think it's a fair assumption when it comes to Tua and the cold and everything else, because this is going to be his coldest game on record and everything else. And I think it's reasonable to expect that maybe he does play well in it, conditions, whatever the conditions end up. I mean, if it's really going to be 7 inches of snow and driving winds and everything, neither quarterback's going to really play well. Let's be honest. But if it's relatively decent conditions and he plays well, I'm not going to be surprised. But I also think it's fair to be like, to approve it, like come up here, play in this, not only in the environment, but just a Saturday night in Orchard Park. We know how crazy that place is going to be, especially if it's the snow game that everybody wanted a couple weeks ago for that Browns game and everything else. Like just that, it's gonna be an environment that he hasn't been in his NFL career yet. This is the biggest game of his NFL career, and the way that, like you said, it's results driven. Unfortunately, it's going to be a referendum on McDaniel and Tua coming out of this game, whether that's fair or not. And they're bringing a lot of stuff onto him too, like you said.
Yeah, and the conditions, I don't think it's getting overstated how these conditions will impact this football game, especially when you look at what the Dolphins do and what they do well, and what they're not able to do. Like that offensive line has been a struggle for years and years. And we thought maybe that Mike McDaniel coming over from San Francisco might be able to scheme some ways for that running game to really get going, because Shanahan is very creative with being able to do that. That's not something that's kind of been a thing at all, even back when Chase Edmonds was there before he got traded to Denver. Now he has two of his favorite running backs from San Francisco, and Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, who looks like he's not going to play this weekend, I believe we found out today. So it will just be the Raheem Mostert show. I don't think that the Dolphins offense is ready to win a game on the ground. And that begs the question in a game like this. And that begs the question, is this offense going to be limited by the weather? Is the weather going to slow Tua down just a little bit where he gets off that first read? And we know that Tua is very much a first read quarterback. And a lot of it depends on Tyreek Hill, who was a full participant, I believe, 2 days in practice now. I think I was a little hopeful that ankle injury might have slowed him down a little bit. Maybe it could still bother him when he gets out there playing in the cold because hits are going to be a lot harder out there. But how do you see, Greg, the weather impacting this Dolphins offense?
So I'm torn because, people remember that record-setting perfect game in the division round last year was nasty wind and negative wind chill and horrible weather, and they scored 60 points between the two teams. So I am not going to assume that the weather is going to be super impactful, because in most of my experience, unless you have driving wind and nasty rain, weather or the Colts level of snow, which I don't believe is in the offing here. I don't think we're talking about.
Some people are hopeful.
Hey, Dave, don't get me wrong. That would.
It looks like it's more in the daytime. It's going to hit, and then nighttime. Yeah.
Obviously, I've seen all the forecasts everybody's seen. All those forecasts everybody's seen to this point, they're going to change tomorrow, and then I got news for you. They're going to change again on Saturday. So we'll wait and see what comes up. I'm sure between now and Saturday night, there's going to be a lot of snow, and we're going to have to plow some of it out. And there's going to be snow around, and I think during the game, snowflakes will be falling from the sky. I don't know if it's going to, put myself out there. If we get one of those crazy lake effect events during the game where you're talking about the 2 inches an hour kind of stuff, sure. That's not super likely. That's not the most likely outcome. Most likely, it's going to be a cool aesthetic where like, oh man, that looks awesome, and there's some snow coming down, and then they're going to play football. Like I don't expect it to have a huge impact on the game. Now, if the winds get a little gusty, that certainly favors the team with a stronger arm quarterback. When it's cold, that favors the team that's been practicing out in the cold and getting into their cars and out of their cars every day in the cold. And
you're telling me that air conditioning isn't working?
Oh no, I'm sure that's exactly cranking up the AC to where he can bop around in his capri pants. And I'm sure that's exactly the same as what it's going to be like on Saturday night.
Of course,
everything I've heard, I think I'm hearing low 20s wind chill with 10 to 15 miles an hour wind and 1 to 3 inches of snow. That's what I'm hearing during the game. If that's what we're going to see, I think that's going to be enough that it's going to be a couple extra drops here and there, maybe an extra turnover here and there. But for the most part, both offenses are still going to do what they're going to do. And out of all the things that the Dolphins need to be worried about, they need to be worried about the injuries in that secondary more than they need to be worried about the snow on the ground.
Yeah, no, we found out, of course, Eric Rowe not going to play for them this weekend. Xavier Howard playing, but maybe that's not a good thing. As we
already without Byron Jones.
Already without Byron Jones, yeah. But I want us. We'll talk about that defense in just a second. But I just want to talk about how we handle the receivers, because Hill, in my opinion, if the Dolphins were to run the table and win the division, Hill is the MVP of the NFL season this year. That's just my personal opinion. It's not Tua. Hill is the most valuable player on that offense. He's the most valuable player on that football team. Especially without Micah Hyde, we got Damar Hamlin and Jordan Poyer back there. Damar Hamlin's played admirably, of course. You can't really say a lot of bad things about him. Some tackling could be cleaned up here and there, but mostly fill-in safety, he's been as good as you can ask for. Just how do you see, do you see us changing the game plan a lot from what we did in week 3 or 4, whenever the first matchup was? I think what we did largely worked there because we held them to like 200 some yards, low 200s. But obviously our defensive personnel is just a little bit different.
So, a lot of people are talking about the game plan that the 49ers and the Chargers have used. The game plan they used was the game plan the Bills showed in week 3. The only game that has played more press man coverage than the Chargers and the 49ers is the 40% that the Bills played in week 3. So those are also 3 of the lowest output and 3 of the worst offensive performances of the season for the Dolphins. I think it would be pretty crazy to change that up dramatically. Now, does that mean we're going to go to exactly what we showed? Probably not. You need to have a little bit of a pivot, a little bit of a shift to make sure that they're not, otherwise, because they're preparing for that as well. So I expect a couple wrinkles here or there. I'm not sure exactly what they'll throw in there and what they're going to do. But, DeMar Hamlin is not Micah Hyde, but he's been a good replacement. And he's allowed them to still disguise coverages with Jordan Poyer and to be able to change things up. The one thing, we saw a lot of Kaiir Elam in that week 3 game. I'd really like to see Kaiir Elam.
All right, Greg.
Saturday.
Greg, hear me out here, because I was thinking about this earlier for this exact topic. I think this is some like voodoo McDermott deep coaching thing that he is really doing to get Kaiir Elam specifically ready for exactly what you just said within this matchup. Because the last 2 weeks have been so odd to us, like with the injury and then the healthy scratch and everything. And then last week, what did he play? 1 special team snap, I think. And that's pretty much it. So no real snaps last week defensively or anything else. And this is a guy that they've talked about all year long about trying to get like his mind right and get like, and to be, I feel like he's, the one thing they were talking about, I remember Poyer on a Pat McAfee interview talking about how intense he was and like being upset about the play and everything like that. And maybe this is just a rookie who they knew they would need for this specific moment. And just for like, there's got to be a time where we need to give him a wake up call. There's no way we're ever going to know if this is true or not, but that's just like a theory I have in mind, because I don't see what if they think he's been good enough on the field to get snaps, there has to be some mental or something going on with him.
I can tell you that everybody at Cover One is sure that there's something we don't know, because everything we see on the field, Kaiir Elam should be playing. Like everything that we've seen, everything we've broken down, everything we looked at, he is developing, looks like a first round pick, and is the next best cornerback on this team. He's better than Dane Jackson on film. So I also am not so, I'm humble enough to realize that there's lots of things that, the Butler and Frazier and McDermott know that I don't, that they see in practice, that they're aware of in the calls, in the schemes, in the requirements, and that there's a reason that they've been holding him back or that he needed to be sat down for a minute. If he doesn't play this week in the perfect matchup for his skill set, in the perfect matchup for his speed, his length, his press man ability, I'm going to have some serious questions. Like, this is the matchup he's supposed to play. So if he plays this week, I will simply chalk it up that, well, you want to know what? The kid needed to learn for some reason, and they did what they did, and now he's back, and good, God bless him, and let's get ready to go. If he doesn't, I'm going to have some serious questions.
I'm still pretty close with one of my old high school teachers, and he messaged me on Twitter the other day, hey, what's your theory on Kaiir Elam? And my QAnon, deep state, deep threads of Reddit theory is that they may have underestimated his injury at the very beginning, and maybe they're holding him off because they don't want to get in trouble for maybe misreporting how serious it was at first. Now, I don't think that this organization would do something like that, but if we're going to go full, galaxy brain on it.
It's really strange. It's a really strange the way they've handled it and everything. But that's what it feels like to me, is like one of those like college internal suspensions where you find out after the fact, that's like the guy like dressed but was supposed to sit like.
So one, there is a possibility that there's something there. We also have to remember, Frazier talked about the pain that he was dealing with through his injury, and that they had to really be careful to bring him back slowly. When you don't list somebody on the injury report, you can't put them out based on injury, or else you get fined because you falsified the injury report. So then they technically would have to say that it was a healthy scratch. So some of those things are a little bit odd. I'm not 100% sure what else is there, but he was healthy enough to play last week, and they didn't rotate him in. So there's certainly some things there where I'm curious to see.
He also did get cooked by Garrett Wilson for first time, so that's fair to think too, because like
that dude's going to be a pain in our side
forever.
Yeah, he reminds me so much of Stephon Diggs. He really does.
It's gross.
Yeah, and speaking of Stephon Diggs, I know you got to get out of here shortly, so we'll pivot to the offense real quick.
Yeah.
The offense clearly had massive success against them back in week 3. 497 yards. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Sam Monson from PFF. It was somebody of that nature who basically said that it is a massive statistical anomaly that the Bills played so well and lost this game. Like 99 times out of 100, if this happens, these stats, the team with 497 yards is going to win that football game.
Pretty sure that Ryan Russillo did a big thing on this open after the week after that. He mentioned the Monson stat, but also went back and looked it up, and like something about the ratio of yards where the team with the lesser amount has won it. The only other couple times it's happened was like the 1950s and 60s. Like something this game
when
was
Barry Tungsten Arm O'Neill was throwing for the
it was not only 497 yards, they had 31 first downs, 11 of 18 on third down, 11 third down conversions, 31 first downs. Just unbelievable. They did have one turnover, but only one turnover. Sometimes you see those crazy yardage games, and then the reason that it netted out is because it was 4 turnovers and it was 4-0 in the turnover differential. It wasn't. There was one turnover. Like it just the weirdest game.
Well, really, the only thing I vividly remember about that game, I mean, I vividly remember just them stopping and deciding that we're having an intermission in the middle of the third quarter because everybody was so tired. But I remember that being the first game of our group chats and everything else starting to go off about the 3rd and short decisions, 2nd and short decisions, the 4th and short decisions. I think they had a lot of missed opportunities in there. And it's like, there's so many things. If you go back and watch that game, there's like, if two of the weird ass things that happened to the Bills went the other way, it's a win and no one's worried about. And then, everybody is hanging whatever, all these alarms after that game. You never want to lose to the Dolphins. And I think that was the big, Greg, I've said that on here all year since the loss to the Jets. I'm like, if these games were losses to NFC opponents or anybody
the Bears,
else,
the Lions,
no one we'd be fine. We'd be like, all right, whatever. That's really what it is about this. But it just feels like the Bills they can overmatch them if they want to on the offensive side of the ball. And they didn't, even with the struggles they've had lately, like it just still feels like it's another opportunity for them to kind of get right again.
No, I absolutely think it is. And on my show last night, I predicted 35-24. I still think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I still think that they're going to be fine. The Dolphins' offense is too good. We're not going to shut them down. It's not going to be some blowout. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are ridiculous athletes. They're going to break a play. It might be rugby scrum between the legs fumble recovery like Tyreek Hill had against the Chargers. But he's a freak athlete. He's going to be able to get loose at some point and be able to shake around for something. But getting in that position, their secondary cannot keep up. And that this is going to be a funny game where the walk away is going to be, oh my God, I can't believe the spark that Cole Beasley brought back to this offense. And really it's going to be a nasty set of cluster injuries to the Dolphins secondary. But whatever, it's going to look good. Josh is going to get right. People are going to feel good about this offense. Maybe somebody at the presser is going to ask, hey, this is a Super Bowl caliber offense. What do you guys think? So
it'll be Matt Perino. I know.
Yeah. We'll see where that comes from. But it's something that I think this is going to be a get right game for the offense and is going to be in a position where people are going to feel a lot more confident about this team going forward, getting back to normal and getting back to clicking on more of the cylinders that we have under the hood.
Well, last question before we let you go. And it's not usually my last question is something fun or lighthearted. No, it's like I actually want information from Greg, the Cover One expert, Tom Sett, and the generally likable guy.
Generally,
of course, generally. The offensive line is the only way I think that this can go off the rails a little bit for the offense, not just because, what we've seen from Spencer Brown is a step back. Roger Saffold has been slightly disappointing. Mitch Morse has been good, but a little inconsistent here and there. And so, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, they have some good pieces in that front seven on that defense. How do you feel about the offense standing up to that task?
I think you're spot on. I think that's absolutely the strength of their defense, and besides obviously the receivers, the strength of their team. When you have Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Melvin Ingram, you can really bring a strong presence to what's going on there. And don't get me wrong, that is a challenge for this Bills offense. We've seen it impact games, but Josh has also been able to maneuver it. Josh has been able to survive it. Josh has been able to work around it to get those things there. And I think they're going to have that quick passing game, the willingness to check down to James Cook, reintroducing Cole Beasley, and what Stephon Diggs can do at the line of scrimmage. I think they're going to be able to keep the ball moving. It might not be the deep crossers and the big shot plays, because I think that does give them a chance to get to Josh. It might be more matriculating the ball down the field.
A little bit of what we saw in the Jet game a little bit.
Yeah. I'm okay if we have 12 play drives and 13 play drives and things like that. Just get me touchdowns. Just get down there and get touchdowns. And
finish the job.
Well, and that's one big difference that, we're so used to this Jets team being a joke for the past 2 decades. Yeah. I think it's weird for us that, oh man, struggling against this Jets defense, something's wrong with us. No, they're actually sadly
defense is really good.
Dude, Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner are studs. Like we may it's gross for me to say this out loud. We might, as Aaron Donald gets ready to retire, and so we might have the best defensive tackle and the best cornerback in the NFL in our division, and that sucks. But until they get a quarterback, they're going to be like we used to be. We're like, oh man, look at the rest of our roster. Look how good our team could be. We got these scrappy guys all together. Look at the other 52. But best of luck. It's fine.
Yeah, they just have the new Mario Williams and Stephon Gilmore of the AFC.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what it's going to be. But no, this is awesome, guys. I appreciate your time.
Greg,
thank you, Greg.
The last question I do have for you, quick though, is the Cavs are 18-11. How are we feeling about title chances?
Yes, right. I'm not crazy. I'm not talking title. This is an awesome, super fun team. For everybody doesn't know, I live in Cleveland. My wife and I are season ticket holders. We go to the Cavs all the time. We take my kids to the games. We love it. My daughter's favorite player is Darius Garland.
Great
so
choice.
It's so fun. I love Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is so
That's
fun.
my guy too.
And now adding Donovan Mitchell, like this team is just so fun to watch. It is a cool environment. It's so much fun to go to. So that is my second love. It's pretty far down. You can look behind me. Like there's, the Bills are here, but I like out of anything else, any college, any other sport, anything, the Cavs are my next, and it is a lot of fun. And the fun part is the core of the team's 20, 22, 24, and 26, and all of them.
We got a lot of
3 more years after this, so it's going to be a nice, fun run to get to root for the same guys. So that's going to be cool.
Hell yeah.
We're going to see a lot of Pelicans and Cavs finals matchups.
My
Pelicans against your Cavs. That would be, oh man, we'd be doing some Happy Hour Oops episodes together. Greg, thank you so much for your time. We'll let you get out of here. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope to do it soon. Okay.
Appreciate you both. Later, guys.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Greg Thompset, Cover One, generally likable guy.
What a guy.
Really likable guy.
Thank you, Greg, for coming on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I had to give him the Cavs shout out.
No, I'm happy you did because me just asking about football before he gets out is not appropriate at all.
I had it planned all day. I was like, he didn't give into the title hopes, so I'm not there yet either. But we're thinking big here.
We are thinking big. And speaking of thinking big, we're getting into kind of this tail end of the season where things are starting to become a little bit more clear. It's getting a little spicy. And I said, we'll shift from Bills to just general around the NFL here real quick, just, kind of impromptu. We didn't plan this, but we never plan anything for this show. I think there's a realistic possibility, and this will be a very on-brand take for me based on who I love and hate in the NFL. And this goes more with hate, but I think there's a realistic possibility that we do not see the Tennessee Titans in the NFL postseason in the year of our Lord 2023.
So you're saying they miss it, like they lose the division out?
I think
to the
that
Jags.
there's a realistic 30% chance.
Have you looked at the Jags schedule though? Because the Jags schedule is kind of tough. You don't want to know because I did my playoff machine the other day and I did this exact thing. I did this exact thing. Yeah.
Do you have those playoff?
It's not saved.
Results?
No, it's not saved anymore.
Jake,
I know I should have screen snipped it or whatever. But let me go through the Jags schedule quick because I'm really glad you brought this up because I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, man, that would be sick. It's not unheard of. It wouldn't be unheard of. They host Dallas this week, which, mind you, this Dallas team has the biggest game of their season coming up next week. So it very well could be a look-ahead game going to Jacksonville. Yeah. And it's always tough to win in Jacksonville. A lot of teams
and we saw what Houston almost did to them last week. They are not a perfect football team. As Greg said before, there's no perfect team in the NFL this year.
Dallas will be looking ahead somewhat to that Eagles game. I mean, the hype's already starting up this week with the Parsons and Hurts stuff going on, whatever. Then they go a short week Thursday night to the Jets. That's a tough atmosphere. They go to Houston, whatever, and then they host Tennessee last game of the season.
That could be realistically for the division. Yeah.
So they have to win. They have to beat 2 out of 3 most likely of Dallas, Dallas, New York, and Houston there, and then the Titans schedule the rest of the way at the Chargers.
That's a tough game. They could lose that game.
That's a tough game, and then they also play Texans, Cowboys on a short week at Jaguars. So they play the same teams.
They play the exact same teams outside of the Chargers.
Yeah, except the Chargers and that. Why do I keep forgetting the Jets? That Jets game.
Chargers-Jets. Wow, that's really interesting. Huh. I really like and the Jaguars can stand to lose one game so long as they beat the Titans.
I believe so because they've already beaten them one. Yeah, so all they would have to do is be tied. So a bit thinking this scenario, the Jags either are 8-9 or 9-8, and that's how you get there. It's feasible. It really is.
Yeah, of course it is. Who's the team that's like scrappy in a weird position that you kind of like maybe to make the playoffs for a playoff run? Is there anyone sticking out to you? Because I mean, like I feel like
this is a great question.
Detroit's like the fun, trendy pick, but do you really want to pick them to accomplish that?
I've been so like hyper focused on the Bills that I don't know. I haven't given this as much thought as I would have in other years. I still think because I think the Ravens are going to lose in Cleveland this week and the Bengals are going to end up passing them and everyone's going to be sleeping on the Ravens going into the playoffs and Lamar Jackson's going to be healthy. And then we're going to be like, oh, what? The Ravens, stomped the Bengals a wild card weekend with a healthy Lamar. So that is really like the situation I'm monitoring is because I think everybody is going to forget about the Ravens and Lamar is going to come back and be how he has been all year long. And they're getting healthy everywhere else. We see how dynamic Dobbins and Edwards were last week against that was a really good win in Pittsburgh. I had been really high on the Steelers. They were looking good for a couple weeks. And I know the quarterback play and the injury to Pickett and everything else makes it a little different, but I mean, the Ravens are playing this dude, Anthony Brown, that nobody had heard of before Sunday. I guarantee you. I had to be like, I'm pretty good at college quarterbacks, college football, follow it enough. And I had to be like, Anthony Brown, what are we doing here? And even my brother is really sharp on that shit. And he's like, what is that? But I think the Ravens are that team for me still. Like the Chargers, the Jets are going to be a tough out. I think the Jets, like if it's Jets Chiefs in the 2-7 matchup, that's going to be a tough game. Like the Chiefs are going to have trouble moving the ball on the Jets. I think that's my biggest issue right now is Mahomes has 11 picks like Josh does.
Yeah.
And I know Mahomes has been awesome this year. He is probably my MVP
at this moment,
voting at this moment and everything else. But you can't talk about the turnovers and give Josh that whole narrative, which he deserves, without saying the Mahomes interceptions happening on the same side. He threw 3 interceptions last week that could have cost a game that they had no business losing. So
I was watching that all happen in the Fantasy Cast app, and I was like, "Oh my god, is this really about to happen?" Like that Chiefs defense, it is.
They let up. Russell Wilson had the best game of the season.
They let Russ cook.
Injured. Yeah,
they actually let Russ cook. I can't.
And that's why everybody's like, "Oh, everybody's so confident in them and so down on the Bills." The Bills are the team that have only lost by 8 combined points, not the Chiefs. Like the Bills are the team that, and the Chiefs haven't lost by a lot of combined points either. Don't get me wrong; they haven't been blown out either. But it's a two-headed monster in the AFC for me. I think those North teams are a tier below. I think
really, even the Bengals.
Yeah, I still think the Bengals. I think the Bengals can get up. You get a good game at home against the Chiefs team, they can win. You can win that game. Like, and it's not like, yes, they won that game. It was a great win. They've beaten the Chiefs 3 times now. It's, whatever. It's impressive. It is.
Sure.
But the flaws in their team still exist. Burrow has not been getting hit as much. Still has been under pressure a lot this year. The receivers have been injured on and off the field and everything. And that secondary can still get got a lot. Like they're still susceptible to that. I think Burrow can win any game that he can play in. And, I'm not going to discount them or anything, but I still think that the Bills and Chiefs they're just that level ahead in my mind. At least. I don't know about you. We're going to find out a lot about
we are going to find out a lot about the Bengals soon.
Bengals schedule, they got at Bucks, at Pats, home to the Bills, home to the Ravens. That's all. Those are 4 teams, all either as basically playoff locks or all those teams are in the playoffs right now as of today.
Yeah.
That's a tough schedule going forward.
I am almost done with the ESPN playoff machine. And
good.
Jake,
let's go.
It is getting weird in this bitch. Holy shit. I'm not even like going through with any narratives. I have not looked up until I got to week 18. I did not look at who was in what position. And I absolutely love where I am at right now. Oh my goodness. I have 6 more games to go. Browns at Steelers. I'm going to say that the Browns win that one. That's kind of irrelevant though. Cowboys, Washington. I'm going to say that, the Cowboys take care of business in a moment where they should. I'm going to say that. Broncos, Chargers. Chargers get the win they need. Russell Wilson cannot do he's not going to play spoiler for anyone. Chiefs, Raiders. Right. I like the Raiders upsetting the Chiefs. That's not going to change the seeding in the AFC by any means, but I do like that to happen in the last week of the season. 49ers are going to beat the Cardinals. They're so goddamn bad. And then Chargers, Seattle, Rams, Seattle in the Doesn't Matter Bowl. So I'll just pick a tie for fun. So what we have here is the Bills. Oh my God. You know what? I'm just going to take a screenshot here. And
just share your screen on it, can't you?
I can, but my computer is such a piece of shit. It's the casting couch, but thanks for putting me in a box there.
Wow.
So here's what I have, and I don't you. That's Greg's tweet from earlier. That's Greg's tweet from earlier. Here, I meant to show you that, but
I did see that earlier.
My favorite kind of verbal meme. Oh my, it was. Incredible. I just commented, "Oh my God, Gregory," and yeah. Okay, here is the real screenshot of this. Is great fucking content here. I know, guys. Here's what I ended up with.
I mean, I can see it. I can see exactly that.
The Panthers winning the NFC South. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, but the Panthers are playing some good ball, man. I don't mind the Panthers. I don't trust. I will never count out Tom Brady, but that team is bad. They are just not good at football.
Dallas and the Panthers in the playoffs would be like the worst game ever.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's a terrible football game. Is that the 1 o'clock game? Is that the Saturday 1 o'clock game?
I don't think it can be because it's Dallas.
Because the Cowboys?
I think that game is actually remember there's the Monday night game too. I think that Dallas game is Sunday 4 o'clock.
I think
that's
right.
when that is. I think if this is my favorite thing. The first game is definitely Jags Chargers. That's
oh my God, yeah. It could be Bengals. It could be Bengals Dolphins too.
I think that's 1 o'clock on Sunday. 1 o'clock on Sunday. I think Kansas City Baltimore is Saturday night. I think or Kansas City Baltimore Sunday night. I think you go San Francisco Detroit Saturday night. Minnesota Washington Monday night.
Minnesota Washington Monday night. Oh,
yeah. Man, Monday night usually gets the lessers of the games there.
That's true.
I think that would be the least. Well, the least interesting is Jacksonville, Los Angeles. You'd put that at none of these are not interesting, but just
they're all
TV perspective,
intriguing.
TV perspective. Not is what this is my TV executive brain turning on right now. That would definitely be a nice, but that's a tough spot to put I don't know though, because that's a really tough spot. Oh no, wait, what time did we say?
For what one?
That has to be the first game of the weekend, right? That's what we said. Okay, yeah.
What does Chargers Jags?
Yeah, it is because you can't put the Chargers at like 10 o'clock West Coast time, so you can't put them at 1 o'clock either.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you could if you wanted to, but
if you wanted to, yeah.
So what would you have? See, I've seen. I don't know. I've seen a lot of scenarios where it's a Chiefs Dolphins 2-7, and that's a really fun game to me. I think the Dolphins could. That would be a really fun scenario. I do.
For anyone listening to the audio right now, here's what I have, because I'll go back and edit this, and then you'll hear me say this twice. Baltimore at the 7 seed at Kansas City. Miami's the 6 seed at Cincinnati. LA Chargers are the 5th seed at your AFC South champion Jacksonville Jaguars. Heard it here first, as reported first by Trainwreck Sports. Buffalo Bills, of course, getting the 1 seed because we're not losing again. In the NFC, Philly's the obvious 1 seed. We have the Washington Commies going to Minnesota. George Kittle just scored a touchdown, and that fucking sucks for me. Washington Commanders going to Minnesota, 7 against the 2. Detroit Lions, 6 seed, going to San Francisco. And then Dallas at Carolina, which is just ugly, ugly, ugly. I love the playoff machine. I'm going to do this again tomorrow and get a completely different result.
I'm doing it right now. If we want to keep stalling here. I'm just going to go through. Let's see what we can get here. That is, I mean, the playoff machine. I'm like a master at the playoff machine at this point. I can tell you, like, I can vividly remember times where I'm in high school and like the library, and I'm just on the playoff machine on these computers, putting the Bills winning 5 of 6 to end the year to go 10-6 and make the playoffs. Like, that happened a lot,
all the time,
too many times, and it never turned out. It was all just fool. Like, I was a fool. So much wasted time, but good memories. What can you say?
What can you say? I remember doing that in like my college labs and during the lab though. If Tom Brady, if this holds true, let's say this is the playoff, Carolina wins the NFC South. Does Tom Brady retire?
Tom Brady is going to the Arizona Cardinals next year. No, I don't know.
I was gonna say, like,
Tom Brady will end up a Los Angeles Ram.
Yeah, him and McVay take the NFL
Sean Payton.
by storm.
Sean Payton.
Oh, that would be awful.
That is the big rumor not big rumor, but like the whispered rumor I keep seeing from respected NFL people is that Peyton and Brady, there might be some smoke to that fire.
That would be a terrible combination. I just know that wouldn't work.
It'd be something, man.
I think the NFL is better having Sean Payton not coaching. That's just me, though. I don't know. I feel like over the last few years, it just got. And granted, you had Taysom Hill down there, but there was some debauchery, whatever the word is.
This is about what I've ended up with the last couple times I've done it. So let's see here.
Let's see it.
That's pretty much it every time I come up with it. I've had the Giants in here, but so for the listeners, KC, Miami 2-7, Baltimore, Los Angeles 3-6, Tennessee, Cincinnati 4-5. On the NFC side, San Francisco, Washington 2-7, Minnesota and Detroit in a 3-6, and Tampa Bay, Dallas 4-5. Which I do think that I've had that Tampa Bay Dallas in almost damn near every playoff machine iteration I've ever done. That'll be such a fun playoff game.
This is a much more fun playoff weekend than mine. Oh my god.
This is just off rip. See, I have Tennessee at 8-9, but I think I just couldn't give the Jags enough wins there. Still had them at 7-10.
Yeah,
who did I have the Jags losing to though?
That's
I have them beating there. I have them losing to Houston. Hold on. They shouldn't lose to Houston. There we go.
Our Jaguars.
go.
Our Jaguars.
Even better. Oh, Jags, Cincy. That is 1 o'clock.
Time to jag off, baby. Let's go.
Jags Cincy is 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Oh my God!
For sure. That
easily.
is the death spot.
That is.
This
oh
this is a fun TV one too to think about because Dallas that's Sunday night. That screams Sunday night. Yeah. I think you go Saturday night, Kansas City, Miami.
I think Chargers Ravens is Monday night if Lamar is healthy.
Monday night, and then this is 4 o'clock on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah,
it'd be a good weekend.
Yeah. What? Oh my God! Kittle's touchdown was like 60 yards.
Who would you want if any of the? So you would get to choose for the Bills' next opponent. It could be Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Los Angeles, Miami. You're hoping for the Jags to just beat Cincy, right?
You are, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. No. That goes without saying. Then we get Josh Allen on Josh Allen. We get
who would you rather play? Game. Would you rather play Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. I'm that's up in the air for me.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Well, the Jaguars' defense is much better than.
Listen, I truly think Trevor Lawrence is going to end up a better quarterback than Justin Herbert. And that is because he has always been said that he was going to end up a better quarterback. I've been hearing Trevor Lawrence has been the chosen one since he was 16 years old. Justin Herbert has been a great prospect. He was not that though. And Lawrence had the worst rookie year imaginable and had to set him behind the 8 ball. Herbert did not have that. That's my hot take for the day, bro. But yeah, no, I truly believe that. I think Lawrence is going to be better than Herbert and Tua. Lawrence is going to be up there. Lawrence is going to be Burrow,
I think he
Mahomes,
will too, but
Allen.
I don't think he's going to be Herbert. I thought my Jags winning the division take was hot.
Oh, no, I'm very high on Trevor. I don't really like him that much, but I'm very high on his football.
As a human being, fuck him. But like,
no, he seems like a nice guy. He just looks good. He scares me. He's just creepy looking dude.
He looks like a sculpture. He looks.
Yeah,
he
looks like handsome Squidward come to life, and I don't like it.
Oh my God, Geno Smith just threw a pick. Don't be a touchdown. It's a touch. Oh, there's a flag. Oh,
you're lucky, buddy.
Yeah, I am. Please. For everyone not playing along at home, someone in my guillotine league has George Kittle, McCaffrey, who have combined for 3 touchdowns, and it's a roughing the passer penalty. Yes! And he also has the 49ers defense. So he's already a lock to get in, but I just need all the help I can get at this point after starting DK Metcalf. Any closing thoughts for this? Because, the kid, Chalupa, come here.
He doesn't want any part of this.
Chalupa, come here.
Any closing thoughts? No. Bills 33, Dolphins 21. What's good? You see the kitty? Look, they kind of look alike too.
Look, there's another kitty cat on the screen.
He's not even looking. Look up.
Look at that.
He wants no part of this. All right.
Yeah, no. Sorry, baby.
He's not freaking out though. So that's good. It's progress.
Yeah, no, Chalupa was pissed. I got to give her some treats after this. My score prediction, oh my God, Geno's going to die back there. He looks like Matt Ryan. Oh my God, great throw, Geno. He does not look like Matt Ryan. My score prediction, I do think that the Dolphins are going to have a rough go of it here. I also think the Bills might a little bit, just because, as I said to Greg, that offensive front for the Dolphins, or defensive front for the Dolphins, scares me just a little bit. So I am going Bills 28, Dolphins 10. That's where I've landed on this.
I think that the Bills are going to win by 2 scores. I think that I'm pretty sold on that. They should have won by 2 scores the first time.
Well, I think they're going to win by 3 scores. So there we go.
Fine, that'd be okay too. I'm going to what is touted on their website, but also on the Bills backer website as one of the best Bills backer bars in the country Saturday night for the first time.
Nice.
Good old Lincoln Station in Chicago. So I'm going to be sending some video from there because I'm sure it's going to be
that's going
to be nuts. It's probably going to be very busy. My plan is to get there. I'm getting there very early in the Browns game. Hopefully that is early enough for me to secure a seat at the bar, and then I'm not going to move while the chaos is engulfed around me. That's the plan.
Practice holding in your pee. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, dude, that is literally don't get me started. The battle of my lifetime. Movies.
Mm-hmm.
bars. Anyways, we don't need to end on that, but it should be a fun time. I'm gonna
be great.
Get some content from here in Chicago from some Bills backers.
There we go.
And see what that's like. But I'm so excited just for the atmosphere that we're gonna see all day. Tailgates, everything. Tailgate talk's gonna be really fun next week.
Yeah, it is.
It's gonna be a joy. I've been waiting for this one all year.
Yep, we've had this one circled for quite a long time.
Yeah, knew it was gonna probably be this Saturday night slot. Here we are. I mean, let's go.
Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Squish the fish.
Squish the fish, baby. This Saturday, Jake will hopefully be able to join me from that Bills Backers bar for a pregame show. If he's not, I'll still be here 7 p.m. on Saturday. Going to go live for a little bit of a pregame. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, watching on YouTube, Twitter, wherever the hell you're doing it. For myself, Jake Micah, Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case, Picasso's Pizza, and fans of Buffalo and all of Trainwreck Sports for that matter. Good night now. I forgot to hit end broadcast.